Pineault, the EMF guy. I'm here with a very, very special guest. I did not expect to be talking to him in person ever. And that's Jaron T-Sort. And Jaron, you are the face and the person behind EMF Academy. And
Mhm.
not a lot of people know that we have kind of this close, collaboration that has been going on for almost 8 years in the EMF
Yeah.
space, which is a very long time, almost a decade collaborating. But I've learned who you are and your real name and saw your face for the first time. What was it, like a week or two ago, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I know that previously you went under the pen name Christian Thomas. That's
Mhm.
really who I knew for 8 years, and I understood through the grapevine that you decided not to disclose your identity at first. Can you let me know a little bit? And I actually don't know what the answer is, so I'm excited to know for myself, but also I know for your readers and even for my community, why did you decide so many years ago to be anonymous with this work around EMFs?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question, and one I've answered for companies that I've worked with and partners that I've worked with, and since kind of going public. So when I first started EMF Academy, which was right at the end of 2017, I think the non-tinfoil guide to EMFs, the book you wrote, came out right at the beginning of 2018. It was one of the first things I read when I was kind of first getting into this. But right at the end of 2017, I was working for a company that was kind of loosely associated with the EMF protection and research space. And so that was kind of some of my first introduction to the potential dangers of long-term exposure to EMF radiation from the devices around us. So I was
Hmm.
hired to the IT department of a biotech company. And in talking with the owner of that company and working at the company, that was kind of some of my first exposure to this kind of information and the potential dangers. And I really got interested in it. But because of the company I was working for and potential conflicts of interest, and also when I was first getting into the space, when I first started the website, before I had any author name chosen at all, when I was just kind of writing articles to no one, just kind of sharing the information that I found, I got some kind of interesting and kind of odd emails about from people worried about EMFs being used as weapons and targeting people. And although I was really enjoying learning about EMF radiation, RF radiation, Wi-Fi, and how all these things can affect our bodies, not just thermally, but affecting our DNA and our cells, and I was really fascinated about it. I really wanted to share everything that I was learning in a way that I felt like was consumable by the average person, because that's not what I was finding. There wasn't. You had some great information. Lloyd Burrell was one of
Hmm.
my early inspirations. He had some great information, but there weren't a lot of great websites that were sharing really consumable information on the topic. And when I wanted to share all of that, but I didn't have the time or really felt confident that I had the knowledge to be addressing some of these things, and I was worried about the conflicts of interest. And I wanted to keep a little bit of distance between my young family. My wife at the time was pregnant with our first. That was one of the reasons that I was really interested in this. I wanted to protect my kid,
Yeah.
my family. And so I just wanted to keep some space from all those things and just be able to kind of publish information and help people out. I never intended for to make any money from it or for it to really turn into much at all. I was just wanting to kind of reshare what I was learning because it was helping me to learn. So for the first 6 or 9 months of the website, there was really no traffic at all. I would go and I'd research a topic, I'd write a helpful article that I felt, and I would just publish it, and then I just kind of left it there. Little did I know that people would start finding those articles and
Yeah.
getting really good information from them and start reaching out to me. And at that point, I'd used this pen name Christian Thomas. Wasn't a real person, wasn't a real name. I just wanted to kind of put some separation between the real person that I was and then as the website grew and started to build and thousands of people started coming and I wrote more articles and companies started reaching out, it kind of grew much quicker than I anticipated, and I just kind of left the pen name there because I never really intended on being the face of anything or needing publicity from it or going to conferences or being on interviewed. I just wanted to publish information. Um, but as the years went on and EMF Academy really grew and became a really substantial resource in the EMF space, I've realized over the last few years how important it is if I want to continue to grow EMF Academy and to reach more people and be able to do more good, that I really need to be more transparent about who I am and what I'm doing and what I want to do and be able to do interviews. You know, you and I have been working together and talking for all those years,
Yeah.
and it's only ever been in emails or and we haven't been able to do face to face because I had kind of let the pen name really kind of grow to the point where it felt difficult to step out in front of it. But now I'm happy to have done that, and I'm happy that if you go to EMF Academy, all the information now is the real story about why I started EMF Academy and why I grew it and who I really am. And now my kids are a little bit older, and my family is really supportive of what I'm doing and the information I'm putting out there. And so, in hindsight, I wish that I'd done it a little bit sooner. I wish I had been confident enough to do it even sooner, because now I'm realizing, I published first on the website, my real name and information a few months ago, and I've realized since then how much better it feels to be talking to people who I really am, talking to companies, talking to individuals. I get just like I'm sure you do. I get dozens of emails every day from individuals, asking about products that they've run across and they're curious if they work, or strategies that they're trying, or issues that they're having, or symptoms that they're having. And it's so much better to be able to talk to them as who I really am. And so I've felt really good about coming out and using my real name, and I'm really excited about the opportunities that it's allowing me to have. And so yeah, that's kind of the long version of the story, I guess.
Well, that's it.
And
That's amazing. I'm glad, just talking to you, what is it, like 2 weeks ago, I just realized,
Mhm.
my God, out of everyone that I met in the world, there's like, Christian Thomas was one of my closest colleagues. It was you. And we had like Lloyd Burrell and Josh Del Sol, and maybe my colleague Brian Hoyer from Chile the Healing is also does some interviews, but he's so focused on the business that the educational side of things, he doesn't really focus on that anymore. So really, there were like four people in the world that I'm aware of in English language that publish and have like a wide reach. Because what
yeah,
how many visits did your website get since you started? Is it in the
I think
millions, right?
yeah, like a little over 15 million, I think is
Fifth. So for EMF awareness, I mean, and this is really props to you, because even if you did not intend to have this kind of impact, 15 million is huge. I mean, that's a
yeah,
large fraction. If these are all like North America, that's a large fraction of the entire continent there. But I know that you likely have also people internationally like me that are
mhm,
interested. It's really great that you continue to publish the information. And just to give you, I think, a compliment here, because you deserve it, is that when I started reading EMF Academy, I know you were becoming an affiliate for my book or something like that. You
mhm,
wanted to promote it on ClickBank at the time, which is an affiliate network. And I looked
uh-huh,
at the articles, as I always do, reviewing what my affiliates did. And what they publish, and some people have blogs that are really, almost now they would be written by AI, but back in the days, some people wrote stuff that just sounded so generic that it's almost unreadable. But yours was
mhm,
different. It was like, geez, I don't know who this person is, but it looks like we came to similar conclusions, and about the research, not necessarily product recommendations. Even with Lloyd
yeah,
Burrell and Josh, it kind of varies a little bit depending on our findings, but
yeah,
the bulk of the information, I would say 95% were completely aligned. And I was very surprised, because you always put quality and research in the article. It kind of showed that it's not something you wrote on a napkin, right? You did your research. And
yeah.
I
Thank
think
you.
I'm happy that now you're a public figure, because we need more people like you and I in reality. I mean,
Absolutely.
I wish there were like at least 50 to 100 good EMF influencers out there that can
Yeah.
spread the word, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting that over the years, not more haven't emerged.
There's not a
There's been
lot.
plenty of really generic websites, that have, copied a lot of the articles or modeled from a lot of the articles that I've
Yeah.
written, or Lloyd or you or others. But you can tell they're not really adding anything to the conversation. They're just kind of consuming our content and regurgitating it in not more helpful ways. But and that was another reason that I really felt like I needed to um, step out and be who I really am, to just to add authenticity and show that there's a real person. EMF Academy is, every word written on that website has been by me. I've never hired a writer or outsourced anything. Every single word's been written by me. And if I go back, there's over 100 articles, and there's certainly still things to be updated, or information that if I
Sure.
were to review it, might be a little bit outdated. But I'm proud that I've written all that information. I've outsourced it, and I know what's on there, and I stand behind it. And yeah, it's been a really exciting journey. And I really feel like EMF radiation is um, hitting mainstream more, and primed to be even more so. With the latest election and who they're putting in charge of national health decisions, at least in the United States. I think
Yep.
EMF radiation with RFK will be a bigger topic of conversation, and I'm hoping that leads more people to our content and others, and more people will kind of emerge and want to stand alongside us, and put out good information about the dangers of EMF radiation.
I agree. I have hope for the future. And before we wrap this up, I do want to hear from you. What are you working on in the next 2 3 years, now that you've kind of, you know I'd say you're entering a new phase of your career in a sense. Now you're public.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
want to do conferences, speaking engagement, or book
yeah,
courses? Like, what do you have in stores? Do you have ideas about what you want to
yeah.
produce out there?
Yeah, great question. Since I've come out and put my face and name out there already, I've had some invites and opportunities. And so one thing that I've been disappointed to decline over the years is I've been invited to a lot of conferences or to speak at different places, because even if people didn't know whether it was Christian or Jaron or the name behind EMF Academy has been in the space for a long time, and it's a
Hmm.
recognizable name, and somewhere that I hope people really trust. And so that I want to just be out there, and be in front of people more. So go to conferences, speaking engagements, more things just like this, just video interviews, and talking. And but also I just started an EMF Academy YouTube channel, where I'm going to be talking about tips and helpful things to do, and latest research, and also reviewing a lot of products. EMF Academy, I would say, that I might have one of the largest collections of EMF protection products, of anyone, because over the last, 8 years that I've been doing this, pretty much every company that's made products intended to protect people from EMF radiation, some good, some not so good, some that I don't believe work at all. I have a closet full, and I really enjoy testing those and reviewing those. And I've lately gotten more and better equipment to be able to test those. And so I want to make YouTube content, reviewing those products, showing how they work, showing how they might not work, and so that people can make good decisions with that. But also just giving a lot of helpful tips on how you can reduce EMF radiation for no cost at all. There's so many quick and easy things to do. And so even if you're convinced and you want to convince a friend, there's really no harm in some of the free things that you can do to reduce your exposure. So even if the science, which I find compelling, hasn't convinced you, there's some really simple things that you can do to reduce your exposure. So I want to be just more active in interviews on YouTube, on my website. I plan to publish a lot more content, and a lot more video content as well. And then just accepting opportunities to be out in front of people, and just kind of be a face for the movement, just like you have. So just put good information out there, and have my real face and name behind it.
Well, I'm glad you're doing this. I'm glad for this new direction. I have no doubt we're going to see more of you in the future, and hopefully we can meet at an event in person, so we get
Yeah,
to spend real time in person together for the
I
first
would
time.
love
But
that.
just talking to you now is the longest conversation we've had, at least. As well, for sure, as with
Face
your
to
real name
face.
and your real face.
Yeah.
Yeah, a real conversation, and it's nice. I'm really really grateful for your work, and I hope that we can continue collaborating together.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you so much.